What's going on, guys? Welcome back to WWE Network and Show, where I, Graham G. Matthews, break down all the original content you watch on the WWE Network and on Peacock. And today we're talking the February 5th, 2024 edition of Raw Talk. So, no Matt Camp this week. He was filled in for by Scott Stanford. Scott Stanford actually filled in for Megan Moran on Saturday's SmackDown Lowdown. So, they reversed roles this week. Megan was on the show. Matt Camp was not. And I like Scott Stanford a lot. He's a great addition to these sort of shows. He's been around forever. For like the last 13, 14 years in WWE. But he doesn't have as much knowledge of the product, interestingly, because he's been there a lot longer. Matt Camp is a full-on fan. He follows the product. He remembers stuff. He's a great asset in addition to these shows, is Camp. So I like Stanford and like the color he brings. I like his personality. He's not the same as Camp, so you kind of had two of the same type of announcer here, two of the same type of talking head in Moran and Scott Stanford. So the show suffered a little bit because of that, but I thought they did a decent job overall. They open up the episode running down the biggest headlines from Monday's Raw, including replaying the Miz and JD McDonough match. So for all the match replays on this episode, as opposed to them talking through it and recapping the match or the segment, they just full-on replay the entire match. Not the entire match, obviously. That would take forever. They just full-on replayed the final few minutes of the match, the segment, whatever. And no commentary over it, no of their own commentary, no analysis of it. Because again, Stanford probably doesn't follow the product as closely as Camp does, so they didn't really do that as they typically would. We hear from Miz and Truth afterward with Kathy Kelly. He was now on Raw. She went from Raw to SmackDown back to Raw. So I don't know what the new announce interview teams are for Raw and SmackDown. Previously, it was Byron and Jackie Redmond on Raw. And on SmackDown, it was Kathy Kelly and Kayla Braxton. So I don't know where Byron is now, if he's just reporting to NXT full-time, or he's going to SmackDown instead of Kathy Kelly. I'm not exactly sure what the schedule is, but that's currently the lineup. So Kathy Kelly back on Raw Talk now. She interviews Miz and Truth, and Miz says that Awesome Truth is about giving fans what they want. And Truth tries to give Miz his cut, give him money. Miz is like, what's this for? Truth is like, well, here's your cut. But by the way, last week was a premature initiation for you in the Judgment Day. Miz is like, we're not in the Judgment Day. And he also says, as Truth walks off, I won today. That should be the focus. Because Miz does not win very often. He's been winning more lately as a babyface than he did as a heel. He never fucking won on television for the longest fucking time. He's been winning more matches lately, which is good. But they hype up Truth and JD McDonough one-on-one for next week's Raw. They replay the Gunther Jey Uso segment with Jey Uso confronting Gunther during his Intercontinental Championship 600-day celebration, setting up a future matchup between the two for the title. Scott Stanford compares Jey Uso to Gunther, saying that Jey's got a lot of momentum right now, but he also has to watch out because he's not the monster, the unstoppable force that Gunther is. They replay the Fatal 4-Way Tag Team match won by DIY, who will go on to SmackDown to face Pete Dunne and Tyler Bate in a tag team qualifier, with the winners of that match earning an opportunity at the undisputed WWE Tag Team titles at Elimination Chamber. We hear from New Day and Jey Uso afterward backstage with Jackie Redmond, and Xavier says that New Day has a great history with the Usos, obviously, and they could find no better partner than him, aside from obviously Big E, who I think we can all safely suspect at this point is not coming into feud with Gunther. I think that's pretty obvious at this point, that the third man that New Day was looking to recruit this entire time, they've been planting the seeds in various backstage segments, has been Jey Uso. But yeah, Xavier Woods talks about their history with Uso, and Jey talks teaming with New Day, and a bunch of other nonsense. I honestly don't really understand what Jey was trying to say here. He just says yeet a lot and then some other stuff, but he was entertaining here, and then they leave to go get pizza. So it was an entertaining segment. They didn't really say a lot of note, but it was an entertaining segment. Back in the studio, they hype up the six-man tag team match for next week's Raw. Imperium against the New Jay, is what they're calling themselves. Jey Uso and New Day. They replay the Becky Lynch, Shayna Baszler Elimination Chamber qualifier, won by Becky Lynch. Scott Stanford says that Becky will find a path to WrestleMania, and it starts, or rather continues, with winning the Elimination Chamber matchup. Zoe Stark says that it's every woman for themselves come the Elimination Chamber, and road to WrestleMania. Shayna fell short this past week, but she will win next week. She says that Morgan cannot brush past her, and she vows to go to Chamber by beating Liv Morgan in their match next week. So back in the studio, they preview their Elimination Chamber qualifier for next week's Raw. They replay the main event, the final few minutes of that match, Cody Rhodes and Nakamura in the what was it called? The fucking bell rope match, or what was it? The bull rope match, bell rope. The bull rope match between Rhodes and McIntyre in the main event, or Rhodes and Nakamura in the main event of Monday's Raw. They also hype up the press conference for Thursday, featuring The Rock and Roman and everyone else. That should be interesting. And they kind of even allude, oh, there's a lot of questions right now in WWE. Yeah, sure as fuck there is. There's a lot of questions and a lot of uncertainty regarding the main event of WrestleMania. And I don't assume they're going to go in the direction that we all want them to, but I suppose time will tell. And they also plug Liv Morgan and Bobby Lashley for the bump on Wednesdays. So pretty standard stuff here from Raw Talk. I thought Scott Stanford did a fine job. He's not Matt Camp, but he did an admirable job. And we also heard from Jey Uso and New Day, Zoe Stark, Awesome Truth. They're always entertaining. So a perfectly fine edition of Raw Talk for this week. Thank you guys for checking out my review. I appreciate it. Be sure to like the video, drop a comment, share the video, and subscribe to the channel for more daily content. Have an awesome one, folks. I'm Graham G.S. Matthews, and I'll catch your ass down the road.